Well, good morning, everybody. I feel challenged because one of the former speakers said, well, owners are the key. Well, I'm one of the owners, and I think I might have a key somewhere in the back of my pocket, but it's difficult, also as an owner. But I will try to show the perspective and the collaboration we share in the Netherlands on working together on BIM in the construction chain. And I will, of course, focus on the role of the owners. What is exactly the problem? The problem is that data is often in different ICT systems during the exploitation. And this data is also in BIM models at construction sites, but also in models for clients. And data is exchanging. To exchange data takes a lot of money. It's a large amount of data, and it is expensive, this effort. And of course, it would be handy that this data model from the construction site, all included, would come to the owners. But I think the owners have to choose what information need they have during asset management lifecycle. Because if they have to spend all their money on updating this BIM model, this will be very expensive. So what data do you need? That will be important. But also, owners, clients will benefit if the constructors are able to minimize their costs, make it more efficient, because an inefficient construction is expensive, and we will pay this expensive construction. We are still paying expensive construction, so it is our benefit that constructors, although not carefully exchanging data with us, we want them to work in very good models. I think that you also want to communicate and you want to minimize the construction failures. You want good quality construction, and BIM helps with that. So information data transfer from contractor to governmental authorities should be done, I think, by open BIM software. I will show you what software we've chosen and we've developed with all clients and building industry in the Netherlands. Often BIM is virtual construction for constructors, which is important, but I think that the language, the standards, and the open software will stimulate cooperation during the construction and also data transfer. And I think that is the European policy to use open standards. Governmental authorities will focus on procurement and databases for asset management. It's their task to get asset management information in order. Often we think as governmental clients that we're responsible for construction, we're responsible for maintenance. But this maintenance and construction is often executed by the constructors. And the only thing we can use to direct this construction process and this maintenance process is by having good information. So this is the key process to be a good client, I think. During the last 5 years, we have a Building Information Council in the Netherlands. And in this Building Information Council, there's public clients, contractors, the installation sector, engineers, architects, and product manufacturers. And together we made a national policy on the implementation of BIM. 2 representatives are there, and our main program of this year is to get BIM as an engine for a national strong construction industry. The leading principles we agreed upon is to focus on information in this primary process, to find one language, to use open standards, and to integrate collaboration. And it should benefit for all of us, not just for one construction party, but also for the clients, the engineers, and the architects. This National Council is directing, stimulating, and conditioning, and I will give an example of that. So to increase the quality, continuity, and competitiveness of the Dutch building industry, we are directing the BIM processes, we are conditioning with open BIM standards, and we are stimulating organizations and education. So that's the main focus to achieve that the flywheel or the engine will start running and BIM will step forward. Looking at the solution my authorities chose, you can see on the left-hand side there's a database at the constructor. And there's, of course, all kinds of BIM models, all kinds of subcontractors that deliver data to their BIM models. But as a client, I will focus on the open BIM standards in between my project and asset management organization and the contractors. So the purple or the violet colors are the open BIM standards we've been working on together. First one is IDM Part 2, an international standard for communication. Second one is COINS. Tomorrow, Hans Schevers will elaborate on this standard, what it can do. It can facilitate not only drawings, CAD standards, for instance, but also geometry, GIS standards, and therefore it can transfer your information from your contractors to clients. The ILS, the information deliveries, the ILS as we call it, is a specification of what data we want. It's a part of the contract and how we want the data delivered using the open BIM standards. And we also chose to get the data during construction. So instead of asking the constructors to deliver the information at the end of the construction period, we chose to get the information during construction. And this helps us because then the organization that is designing and constructing needs to get its information up to date during the construction. And often we now receive data at the end, which is drawings, for instance, from design, which is not exactly as built. And of course, we need that information afterwards in the asset management. Down below, you see the CBNL, a Building Smart Data Dictionary, as we try to make together with other parties on a European scale. This is an object type library with one language, with the opportunity to speak one language regarding objects, regarding what we are constructing together, but it is also our information need is put in there. So the information from asset management, we've put in the contract, bringing in this OTL, object type library. And it has all the specifications, the system, the basic demands we want from an object. Finally, this structure is given with a COINS open BIM standard to the constructor, and it is a guideline to develop a database, a CM database, which has the same structure as our own BIM database on the right-hand side. And therefore, data on both sides, on client side and on constructing side, will look the same way and has the same structure and has the same language. Looking at Rijkswaterstaat, At the moment, we have 7 major projects near Amsterdam, Utrecht, and also some regional. We ask for information. We use this object type library data model. We structure the database on both sides. We have an information delivery during construction every 3 months. We use IDM Part 2 for contract management and communication. And we use coins for data transport, including geometry drawings, GIS maps, and the use of semantics. Naturally, we also have to validate the information. We do this at the moment, we do that at Rijkswaterstaat every 3 months when it enters our institute, but we want this validation instrument also to be used by the constructor later. One thing to promote the BIM and GIS use at the constructors is by design, build, finance, and maintain contracts. What you see is then that finances and construction industry is if it's their personal benefit to have a very nice construction in progress, but also they have to take into account the maintenance they have to do afterwards in the coming 20 years. Finally, we have a BIM database for storage and observation, useful during the life cycle of asset management. So that's how we practically use BIM. Now I will show an example of how it works in practice. Some of our data is going to the constructor near Amsterdam, this example. And what he will do is first of all, he will additionally survey data, but he will also scan the entire region, which you see here. And then he will design, in this case, a bridge on the original structure, on the original infrastructure. They have teams who have different discipline models for civil design, for cables, GVV, traffic systems, and of course, sound barriers. And in weekly meetings, they check, and now I hope it worked, but it doesn't. This software has the opportunity to find clashes where construction is failing or where design is not in correct order, and therefore they can minimize. This is quite common when main constructors use BIM. Fortunately, my movies are not running. Can you help me, maybe?
Click on it. Which one? This is video?
Mm-hmm. Try that. What I wanted to show was that the complete design of some of the infrastructure is already finished, and the execution takes place in real time. And what the constructor does is it hangs with the structure we gave them. It doesn't matter. They hang the data, the design, the drawings, but also the information collected in a structured way as we asked them to do so, and it is delivered to us. At the moment, it's also stuck. Here we go. Every 3 months, as you can see on the top, we get data checked in, as we call it. So we receive data every 3 months during construction. And on the left-hand side, down below, you see the object type structure that we gave to them, and they are delivering the information on this subtyping, on this object tree, as we call it. And every 3 months, information is updated, and changes are shown and added to our own database. So you can observe and validate this data as it arrives in our system. You can also select and test whether the data connected to the, for instance, the bridge, which is on a GIS screen, has all the attached data to it. Unfortunately, this is not in 3D yet. But the exchange models, like the coins container, is able to do so. So if we choose to ask 3D information, the open data systems, they will allow us to. I want to end with some strategy suggestions for BIM and GIS. I think during the planning phase of projects, BIM information and GIS information can be combined and very, very well used to get visible scenarios. Furthermore, I strongly believe in connecting languages and the use of physical objects and spatial objects in both worlds. Therefore, you can use a Building Smart Data Dictionary. With spatial objects, I mean, for instance, you have an infrastructure, like a road, but the main task we have as an authority is to make sure there's no traffic jams on this road. Therefore, you want to present your data of your traffic on physical objects who together form a spatial, who facilitate the transport of traffic. And therefore, we chose the object type library to have a spatial and physical component. I agree with Jantien and the other speakers that 3D is the development of GIS and BIM, and we should closely collaborate. What we should also do is, on a European level, combine the efforts of BIM and GIS standards, for instance, in ASEAN communities in Europe. And last but not least, why not combine efforts on knowledge transfer and education? If GIS has 15 years more experience, why not make sure that our people working in the field are educated with this knowledge so we can use it in BIM as well. Thank you for your attention.